repeat. I am powerful. I am powerful. Louder. I am powerful. I am powerful. I am powerful. I am powerful.
Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I have a special guest. Let me introduce yourself to the world.
I am Elaine Henley, and I am new at Change.
NFCR,
Yes,
not you.
NFCR. And I'm really excited to be here with the team, joining the team, and looking to help people make some of the positive changes that I've been able to make, and I've been able to help other people make along the way.
Yes, we're very happy to have you. There's a lot of reasons. This will give me the opportunity to say them. So we are excited about you being here. One of the reasons is your experience as a teacher. Give it up for the teachers out there. But yes,
22.
Oh, how?
22 years, Florida public school system. I actually started right in Osceola County.
Oh, no. Okay, here.
Just south, in the Poinciana area.
How did you make it? Because, we hear everything that goes on. And I, as a professional, whatever I go, couldn't imagine like such an important job because what else is there, right?
Yes.
And it being so not good.
No, I know. There's, it's always kind of a joke with teachers. If somebody asks you what you do, you don't usually really want to say.
Really?
Well, because especially if you're a middle school teacher, which is what I primarily was, because you always hear the is usually the response, because not only is teaching itself, it's something that I think people idealize on one hand, but then they demonize on the other.
Which I don't get the demonized part, but.
And so, they're bad actors in every field. So, there's some horror stories that come out of education. Then there are also a lot of hero stories. And being someone that is intimately familiar with all of the ins and outs of education, I think the most significant piece of it is who's being impacted the most are our children. And that's where, people have unfortunately taken advantage and made it's just been something that I feel like politicians tend to try to
use either way.
Use. Correct.
And that should be off limits, in my opinion.
Yes. But, people they'll make promises, we're going to fix education and we're going to do this. And they run off of these things and their whole political platform will be based on that. But in actuality, the year, even the kids with the lunches and things like that, they do have a lot of good programs for school lunches and, even where on the weekends, there's, one, group that provides book bags and they'll fill them with food and they'll send the food home with the kids, that are, in the poverty line. But, it's just very difficult to provide for the needs of that many people, that many children, and the needs that they have. And we're not just talking about like food or clothing, but we're talking about emotional needs, which is what ultimately prompted me to get into this area in this field, because the emotional need and the lack of there's not a lot of structure to support it. We think that guidance counselors are trained to counsel,
but they're not. And that's not there.
They're mostly used in schools as test coordinators. Maybe a community concierge would be a better fit for them as a name, because they link people with resources, but they are not able to actually provide therapy. As we, become more aware of the needs for mental health practitioners in the school systems, we'll see maybe more politicians connect onto that, because that seems to be the only way to
I don't know about
get the things that we need to accomplish. But more funding for that kind of thing. They even in the last year of teaching, or last few years actually, I think the past cookie cutter programs and having the teachers deliver this type of program. And in the program, it requires conversation and communication.
Yeah, and that's not their
training. It is not their training. And then when something gets opened up in a classroom, when they're executing some of this curriculum, it becomes almost a nightmare. It can derail an entire day.
Yes.
And worse if it's not wrapped up correctly. I mean, we understand these things after going through clinical training, but teachers are not given that kind of training. And even at some point we need to ask, do we expect our teachers to also be certified mental health counselors?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Because, well,
or at least in some form or way. Yeah.
We're already not providing teachers with the income that would match the skills that they can transfer to many other fields. But then to ask that on top of it, I don't know that individual that would be that person. Like that's going to not only care for the educational needs of the child, but also the emotional and social needs for the child.
And it would make a difference. Like, this is what I don't understand. Like that why not pour into it? Because if we're really trying to change society, we want crime to go down, drugs, that's where it starts. That's where it started for me. My downfall, it's not because of the school, came from not being able to get the help in these schools. My parents didn't know how to get the help. I put you in a box and,
you see this kind of thing too from the other side, the teaching side, and it becomes so disheartening, and it becomes a source of disillusionment for many new and young teachers that come in when they will have a staff meeting where they will spend, I remember spending about an hour, instead of talking about resources for the community and ways that teachers can help in that vein, as far as like getting people more connected. So it's not just all falling on guidance. They talked about, someone came from the Department of Corrections, and they explained to us how important the student grades were because they use those to determine the number of prisons and things that need to be built.
Wait, I didn't know that. What do you wait? But this is for real. Like you're saying that. So they what? What do you mean?
There's an evaluation system that all teachers use to evaluate students based on their behavior, their responses in normal day-to-day situations in school, or that are dropping out. This is going to ultimately impact your society, which is going to ultimately impact civil planners.
Okay, so instead of putting some mental health professional there, they open more jails.
Correct.
Wow, I didn't know that. You actually taught me something today.
Over the course of, several years, I haven't done like a deep dive or anything, just shallow.
From what you see,
shallowly skimming the surface. Looks to me like prisons are big business.
Oh, they are. I don't know if you know much about. I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood. I mean, everybody can tell just by me saying hi, but yeah, they are. They are, and we know. I think the mind-boggling thing is we know this. I don't think everybody thinks people that live there know what's going on, but because we see it, right?
Yep.
You would walk in my neighborhood and we're at risk of getting arrested. The cops would just put you on the wall. It was just crazy. And you would end up in jail. And we had a saying that we are going to end up, not us, but people who would be in jail or dead by the age of 18. It was a guarantee. It's hard to come out of that lifestyle knowing this because you believe it. Your teachers are telling you, and I don't think it's the teacher's fault. Now that you're saying this is what they're telling you guys too. You know what I mean? And it's a bad outcome.
A lot of it is. And, that's the thing. It's like teachers go in and, that's another thing I would see year after year after year. We get a new crop of teachers and
they're excited. I'm going to change the world.
I don't care if I have to buy toilet paper for myself and the kids for the whole year. I'm going to go to Walmart and get everybody paper to last.
Because that's why a person that would get into that field, knowing that you're not going to get rich off of it.
Correct.
That's go ahead. Sorry.
And then, they get hit little by little. We're not
Realize.
gonna, exactly.
Yeah.
We start to realize this is not, hey, we're all in it for the kids.
Yeah.
And
So what can I do in this big system that's designed for?
and eventually you end up there.
I did not know that about grades, and that's shocking.
Mhm.
Because to be honest, that's it. You sentence this person for that life. Because imagine if you have the system telling you guys, the teacher, yeah, they're
Well, because when they
for
fall,
that.
they fall. Because the parents are not going to, they're not going to have the resources or possibly
Yes.
understanding.
Which is usually why that kid is in that situation.
And
Yes.
then the kid usually will end up tracking this kid, even though we're tracking them. It's a lot of effort that goes into tracking.
I didn't know this. I swear. And this is all of public school, you think, or?
Oh yeah, this is all.
And how long has this been going on? More or less, if you were to guess. It sounds like they're professionals.
Yeah, I would say decades and decades. I mean, even if you look back into the start of the purpose of organized education like this was started to produce employees that they would work. They worked on a schedule. There was a bell that would ring. You would do
that's the
something else.
design. Yeah. We all know that.
Yeah. So it's like it's like people mills kind of, but it's not. I don't feel like it's something that can't be fixed, but I feel like it's going to take as many people that started it and invested in it and, brought it together to change it. And there are so many voices coming from different places. It's hard for people to see a straight path on how can we get things back on track.
I've seen some, I really had a bad view. I dropped out of high school. Dropped out of high school at 15. When I saw this, you can't do anything without nothing, I went and got my GED, and then I went back and went through the schooling and got the bachelor's and all that. But I met some really powerful people that are making a real difference. I can't say her name, but every year I go and I do a speech for kids that but they're graduating, like they made it.
Yes.
And the director of that program, I mean, this person is beautiful. She's making that impact. She's supporting these kids throughout their high school years, and it's working because they're graduating and they're not going to jail.
Right.
And then she even goes out and finds money to get on. It's just, I think you could change it. It's going to take like
a lot of people, a lot of hands, and it is doable. But again, I mean, it's going to take everybody. It's not a superintendent effort. It's not a teacher. Everybody has to be involved from top to bottom.
So it's sort of like that. And I've seen these teachers, and it's a shame because some of I'm telling you, a lot. I was around it all day, and there was a lot of them had so much talent. Like these kids that were around me that were also going through poverty, and going through the system, and they were so talented in drawing, and they were smart. And it's like now, I mean, you hearing that, it's kind of a boom. They're gonna try to do you anyway, and that's hard to get over. It's a system. It's a system we pay for. They're telling us, sorry.
No, it is. It's very difficult. That's why it's like teachers need support in the way of love, in the way of, thanking, in the way of, I used to.
Money, give them a better salary. It would kind of help a little bit.
Money's a big deal.
Jesus.
I mean, money's a big deal, especially when you think if the person went to school and they had to borrow, they took out student loans or whatever, and then what they're making it's not enough.
And
they're still buying things.
Yeah, but you know what?
Out of their lack.
These things, I never understood it. This thing that goes on with the raise. What are we debating?
Right. No, and we can look into that. Let's look back into and do some research. I mean, starting with the the whole Tropicana lottery, the lottery, and how much was invested, and all of that was promised to go to education.
But you didn't?
And a lot of it didn't.
It's insane on all their advertising,
Correct.
right?
So, I mean, follow the money is probably the biggest phrase. If you want to find out what's going on in any area, whether it's education, whatever it is, follow the money.
Yeah, and you'll find it.
Mhm.
And do you think these, well, no, that's probably for another day. So these hoods are
So you
designed.
hit the nail on the head, and there may be a very strategic reason.
I could never do that. But if I'm one of these people that have these jails and I'm in that mindset, we're going to make as much, that means why not you create your clients? That's probably one of the easiest.
And how easy is it as a politician to run on, let's make the schools wonderful.
Yes.
Let's give the teachers more money.
Oh, right. Everybody's good. Who's going to say no?
Who's going to say no to that?
Yeah. And then what happens to people that are left down there? They have no voice. Who's going to listen to them when they say none of that money came here? So really sucks. That was some really hard stuff. Look at you. Okay. So is that what made you switch to the mental health? I know one of the parts was you saw the need of the mental health. Yes,
it definitely was. From the very start, there were things that I just couldn't understand. And they were different from my own upbringing. And I would see, I'd call parents and I'd ask, would it be possible for them to bring paper to school? I would hear that would be like a door opening into all of the problems that they're being faced with.
Yeah, because it's not just paper. There's a reason why I can't go to the store and buy a $2 pack of paper. Okay. It's not that I don't want to.
And then, you get into the in-person conferences, parent conferences, that's big fighting, the children would be sitting there, and you see all of this. You see all of this emotion that's happening in the room. You see all of this, it's really, it's family, it's generational trauma.
Yes.
And it's hard. It's hard to navigate those conversations beyond, yes, we can provide tutoring.
Here's a number,
but that the need is that what you're in there and what you're discussing is like the tip of the pen or tip of the needle. And there's so much more that is going to go unaddressed for probably years and maybe
and then continue into the child,
their adulthood, and then it may again we'll have the same.
I think it's nuts because if we could pay attention to that, can you imagine? Well, I know once people started paying attention to me, Carolina, one of them, teachers and programs, individual people that run these programs that said, I'm going to help, I'm going to be there. Once that happened, it broke that cycle. My kids don't live in poverty. They've never done drugs, work all day,
It's just a matter of shifting. There's a different way.
And it doesn't take a lot. People none of them gave me money. All of them gave them love, support, and belief.
And that's what we all need. That's what teachers need. That's what the kids need. That's what your administrators that are in the trenches, fighting for things with, the people that are above them. It's what we need, and we need transparency. We need to make sure that what is being done is shown.
Because if you can't see it, can we fix that?
No.
Great. I love it. Okay. So can you tell someone that's thinking about making a career transition? Because that's a big deal. Yes. I mean, you were there for a long time.
I was.
What? So did you get that feeling slowly of I need to do this? I need to do this. Was it just?
Yeah. Oh, I think it was a slow thing. I've always wanted to be a helping person.
Obviously, teacher. It doesn't get more helping than that.
And I loved the whole idea of teaching from a very young age, which you'll find most teachers say this. They knew they wanted to be a teacher when they were a child.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
So you grow up and you want to do that along the way. Like I said, there were different points where you become disillusioned to what teaching is, what you thought it was and what it is. And then you settle into, okay, this is what it is. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay.
Motivation comes
That's
back.
it. Yeah. And then it just got to the point where I thought, doing good here, but I think I can do better. I can do more, with a change. And I spoke to several people, one of which, besides my immediate family, but in addition to being my immediate family, my aunt is a psychiatrist.
Oh, so this is part of your, oh, that's
Yes.
cool to hear, actually.
And
That's where it comes from.
so I spoke with her, and I asked her, what were her ideas, what she thought about my situation. And she just very, nonchalantly, which is how she is, just said, well, have you thought about counseling? And I said, no, but
But it had, right?
Yeah.
You've been thinking about,
So she said, okay. She said, well, why don't you take a look into that? She said, because that will allow you to, get in there with the people that need your help. You'll be in a clinical setting. You can, really work at some of those things that you have been seeing that you don't have the skills now to address.
Oh, so actually, I didn't think about that. So you have already, so I know your career in counseling isn't 20 years, but you kind of seen the issue for 20.
Correct. And, I would do everything I could.
Of course, but
I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the training. So that's why I went and I got the training.
So when you got, well, first of all, do you have to do the 2 years? How does that work?
So
the master's again?
The master. I did. And it was a little longer than 2 years. So when I started the program, I had just gone through a divorce. My mother had been diagnosed with large B-cell lymphoma, which was a pretty aggressive cancer.
Sounds like.
And, then, I also needed to still work full time.
Yes.
And so, correct. They don't pay
even after the education.
Exactly.
Right?
And, was basically single parenting, and, it was rough. And so I didn't do things like the normal, let's say 20 something getting their master's degree. Yeah. It took me a few years, went through COVID. So that was, I started in 2019, and then I didn't graduate. I took things very slowly until 2005.
But that says a lot about you.
I really wanted it.
Yeah, you kept
I
doing
really
whatever
wanted
you
it.
had.
It was very important to me. And I feel like, why are we here if we're not here to help? Why are we here?
Yes, there's no all the greats talk about it. That's exactly what Compass is, right?
Yeah.
From Mr. Kennedy, everyone talks about it. It's the ability to help someone be empathetic. So
yes.
Yeah, I love it. And once you go that route, yeah, maybe you're not feeling millionaire, but you feel good.
That's right. You will love life. You will love the life that you're creating for yourself, and it just continues to grow.
Now I have a question about the skills. So while you were going to school and you're learning about like diagnoses and different mental health, are you like comparing like, oh, that's what happened this time and when I was doing the teaching?
Oh yeah, I definitely could think back and just kind of like retro diagnose people.
Yeah. Watch.
Now you think, oh yeah, that person.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So it was kind of, you were doing the counseling while training because you had all these situations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I never, let's say, practiced, while I was still.
Oh no, of course.
But no, I was definitely able to glean some really good interventions or strategies to help.
That would have worked if that was your client. Yeah.
And just generally be more present and aware in the moment.
And you can see actually that makes you a very strong counselor. So a client that comes to you, I mean, the benefits would be huge because you know the impact if we don't do this right. Like you see what happens and how dark it can get when, we don't get this right. It's not just a career.
Yes.
You've had the experience of what happens when no one does the job. So yeah, you can help some people. I can't wait. I see it. So is your favorite part about, because you have seen clients, you have been practicing at another agency, high reviews, by the way. I would have to do the research on somebody. I saw you be getting those reviews.
Yes.
What is your favorite part about it when you're doing this class?
I think my favorite part is to watch the light of hope grow in the clients.
Yes.
As they start to feel the change and the power and the momentum of change.
Yep.
And so that's exciting to me, because I feel so honored to be a part of the journey that client is going through, and to be able to use my clinical skills.
Yeah, what battle to go get for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, those are, I took a long time getting them. I think there's definitely been enough time for those things to settle on me and become very natural and very organic part of the way I do things. And I do attribute that to the successes that I've had with clients. Like you mentioned, several of the Google reviews that I've had, and
good reviews, FYI. I was like, man, that was really good.
Yeah.
So what is your specialty? I know you like helping, and you're not going to say no, you don't fit that, but what is that type of situation or approach that is always good?
Somebody that needs help.
Welcome to America. We're here.
So, I
love that answer though.
Because in the school system for so long, I feel like I definitely have a soft spot for kids. Especially, kids that may have learning disabilities, in particular attention deficit disorder.
Hello, I'm the kid now.
I have attention deficit disorder as well.
Welcome to the crew. No, there's a crew. Is there a crew for this?
The crew. It's the crew. Yeah. For the first few years of my schooling, parents had me tested for epilepsy. I'm hearing tested because something was clearly wrong with this girl.
I couldn't put my finger on it.
Exactly.
I imagine that. Tested for everything.
And back in the we'll leave the year out, but a while back,
yes,
attention deficit, and especially in girls, was not something that was regularly diagnosed. And there wasn't a whole lot there wasn't a lot of information out of it. So, but that's a common scenario I ran into in school, and,
yeah, they didn't know what to do with me. They put me in special ed. They even put me in, what is it? When you're more of a Spanish speaker.
Oh, ESOL classes.
ESOL, but my first language is English. They put me there. They kept moving me around everywhere.
I didn't know how to address it.
And as an adult, I find out.
And that's the thing, is that you said that you dropped out.
Yes.
Okay. So this would be a path that we would see over and over again, because the teachers are not trained on how to address that in a productive way, so that we can appeal a little bit more to that side, but without it taking away too much from the class, without it completely interrupting the flow of the class. And there are ways to do this if we want to invest and we want to fund.
Got it.
But without that, there are still ways to help things. Something that also doesn't get talked about is this whole component where, ADHD is many times, and ADD is many times comorbid with depression.
Yes.
It's just not something that you see very frequently, especially in the public school system. And if you do, then it will have come at a significant cost to someone. Somebody's paying for an extra aid or something like that, or maybe
make the corrections pay for it.
Right? They're getting the money, but I would say that probably is something that caused a lot of heartache in a lot of the communities where I taught. I taught in Osceola, Duval, Clay, and Nassau counties.
Yeah, and as a kid, the hardest thing is that you don't know what you're doing wrong. So everybody's telling you you're doing something wrong.
And you have no understanding
I'm trying to be
how to
my
correct it.
best.
Yep.
Like I'm trying. And that's
Yes.
what used to happen a lot to me. I was trying to really get good grades
Yes.
and be a good kid, but someone was always taking me out of the class and telling me I did something wrong.
It's not a character issue. And that's that has been kind of the biggest problem for people to look past, is that this is not a bad kid. This is a kid that is struggling with doing this particular task.
Learning in your system.
Yeah.
In the box. My grandson he's autistic and ADHD, but they have an IEP. Is that what it's called? And I mean, the difference when we first kind of didn't know, he was not doing well in school. And now when the mom tested him and found out, she uses all these programs. This kid is like, he's killing it in school. He's doing so well. So yes, like you said, we invest. The changes in the future is great. So I'm excited that you do virtual and in person.
Yes.
Right? So
both.
You do both.
Both, all.
Let's use a beeper. Well, beepers are not used. But yes, I'm very excited. So you do from what I was reading, you do the couples, individual, and children. What's the youngest you go?
So 8 years old is generally, because if that's around the age where you're going to start seeing those learning disabilities really start impacting not just the child and their whole school interface and all of that, but the family. Because there may be one parent that tends to try to moderate, try to mitigate the damage, try to smooth things over, and the other parent not really understanding maybe the situation.
This to get better now.
Yeah, correct.
Just get it done.
And that can cause a lot of tension in the family.
So that's your approach when it comes to the kids. You work with the parents.
Correct.
Like,
it's a whole family thing.
And it is. There's no other way.
Yeah.
Is it harder to work with children that have these, or is that you just feel at home there? It's because you were a teacher.
Yeah.
You were surrounded by it all the time. And the difference is now you're trained.
We're all people. I don't see people as the concern that's bringing them in. If I were a doctor, I wouldn't see people. If I was a doctor that worked with people's feet, I wouldn't see people just as feet.
What an example!
I try to look at the person and realize the most important thing for me is going to be to get to know who this person is and what shaped them. And once I can kind of ascertain who is this person in front of me, and what did they want? What did they need? What are they most longing for? That's where I go.
Nice.
And that's where we can, deepen an understanding about each other so that it's not just about a performance in school or, how mom sees Johnny and not how dad sees Johnny, or, it's a whole new way of experiencing life that starts on an emotional level, an attachment level.
I love that. I love what you just said, man, because we would all do that in life. People are so beautiful. Yes. Where I love people, but we have these things, protections and things that we build. Yeah. And I have ADHD and this person has that. And these things don't allow people to go deep. But once you go deep and you see, when you discover it, you see the eyes change on the person, the face changes, and it's like, hello. Yeah.
Now they feel that. You see who I am. You don't see the things that cause me problems.
That's what people has. I love it. Oh, you are. Wow. I am excited. What do you think has to, now that you've been providing counseling for a while and doing the work, what do you think? I ask every counselor I interview this. What do you think in the mental health industry, what is missing to make it
that's missing in the mental health industry?
Yeah, that we could be doing more of or not doing at all. Like, what do you think is needed?
Well, I think, going back to just a little bit earlier in our conversation, I would really like to see more done in schools.
It's like at ground zero.
Correct.
That's where you could get it
Yes.
done there.
Yeah. Because we're not just with the kids, but the people that are working with the kids, they need the most support. Both of those groups do. And, anything we can do to promote and give more access to those people, I think would just leaps and bounds make changes more positive, more, better outcomes for not just the kids, but the families and the system in general.
Yeah, good answer.
Where I'm clinically trained and other people that have gone through the training and 1,500 hours of direct client
for free.
We learn to listen for what is the need and what is going on, and we are able to attune to that, and not for the purpose of getting you to come back.
Yeah, got you.
For the purpose of you came to us for help. We are in a helping career because we chose this.
Yes.
And, I would be interested. I never looked this statistic up, but I would be interested to find out what number of people who are therapists, even as a second career, came from helping fields as well.
I
suspect it's a high
percentage.
Well,
every provider I know has come from some a field where they were helping as well before. I don't know about teachers, but that's a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most of the people I know, it's just ingrained. I don't know. Yeah. It's just and when you're saying about your aunt, it sounds like that's the way she is. Yeah. So I think it has also something to do with the people around you and also you harsh in life. Usually that changes you too.
Correct.
I'm gonna help you because
I made it through this. Yeah. And I want to help other people through this. That's such a powerful place to help from. That experiential reference.
Yes, you've seen it, you've done it. I am so excited. I am very grateful that you're here, and I think you super great. I just really, really do because you tell you really want to help.
Yes.
And you've shown it by being a teacher for 20 years. You've shown the world all I want to do is do something to give value to the society. Yeah. So I think you're going to do really, really good. I'm excited for what you have coming. You have anything you want to share before you go?
I would like for people to know that this is a lifelong pursuit for me. The building blocks that have made me up have brought me to this place, and I'm excited. I'm ready to be here, and I'm ready to start this amazing journey with change. And I'm ready to go.
Come see her. I am telling you, you're doing the free consultation.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone's interested just to know more about you. They can
set it up.
Yes. All right. I'll put all your stuff everywhere, your links and all that stuff. Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed your time.
Thank you for having me. It was so amazing.
Anything you need from us, we're here. Thank you.
Repeat after me. I am powerful.